TIFU by discussing my hourly wage with my trainer. I was working with the guy training me and one conversation led to another. I asked how much was he making an hour since we are in the same field and he has more experience than me. Hence why he is training me. He tells me, I make enough. I say, okay. He states back, why do you ask? I then say, I believe in discussing wages with my coworkers. This lets me know if I'm being paid fair compared to my peers and where I should be at in a certain time span. He looks at me with a sly grin on his face and asks how much am I making as the new guy. I look deep into his eyes and tell him the truth. $28 an hour. That grin turned to angry strings of cuss words and loss of control. Come to find out he has been here for 4 years. Is completely qualified in everything and he is also the only trainer. Yet I make more than him. He proceeds to get further upset with me and says, this is why I don't discuss wages. It should be illegal. To then I reply, a minute ago you said you make enough. And now you're upset at me because the company is paying you less than the new guy. When you should be discussing this with the manager. And here you are still defending the company. The rest of the work was completed in silence and hostile body language. TLDR. My trainer got upset with me for discussing my hourly wage with him. Come to find out I make more than him. Edit. He didn't say much after the conversation and he was still visibly angry by the time we finished the project. However, I did see him in the office a half hour later joking with the manager. Not sure about what. The part about me looking into his eyes. It wasn't a sexual thing or a power move. It was more like, WTF. You didn't want to discuss it but a second later you're asking what I make. Almost weighing in if the conversation should continue. I try to be aware of body language and at that point I was more having an internal debate by processing his, please keep your awards. I don't know what to do with it. Instead encourage these kind of talks with your coworkers and be aware of wages in your field. If you're underpaid, speak to HR. If you don't know and do not want to discuss it, apply for jobs in a similar field. See what the rates are and leverage that. I literally threw a tantrum. Not my finest moment. When I found out that I as the supervisor and the only trainer was making $6 less than my trainee. We were in the middle of a very important and labor-intensive process and I told them if they didn't fix it then consider this my immediate resignation. Thankfully they cared enough about me to get me a raise by the next day but still. How the fuck was that even allowed to happen? Once had a new hire in our department get off a difficult call and say, this isn't worth it for $14 an hour, all 15 or so of us there heard it. We all made between $9 to $10. HR ended up meeting with us individually and we all got raises. Been with a company 8 years. We've recently hired a ton of new folks making $2 to $8 an hour more than me. Talked to my boss about getting an increase to at least match what these new guys are making. He told me, the only way you'll get a decent increase is with an offer letter from someone else in hand. Just had my second interview at another company that will be a 40% raise with better benefits. Regardless of their retention offer, I'm going to laugh in their face and bounce. I do find it funny that they rather get mad at you rather than the company. I'm sorry that you had to deal with the situation though. This is exactly why we should discuss our wages. Nicely done. When I first started out I found it very common that new hires were making more than people in the 5 years range. He should take it as an opportunity to get himself a raise if it was a concern to him. Not discussing wages is a stupid trend that companies push to avoid this exact scenario. They don't want people to know they're getting paid less than they're worth. It's also why you can't just stay at one company, in most cases, and keep your wage competitive. Can we go back to that moment when he looked you deeply in your eyes? That was hot. Impotent rage pointed in the wrong direction. This is why everybody should talk about wages. Yeah, I was the trainer. Except I didn't get mad at the trainee. Let my boss have it in a private meeting though. Until he turned out to be a 100% useless pile of shit. Then I hated him too. Give him a chance to process this. He's just mad. That's stupid on his part. I was training folks that made $15 per hour more than I was, and when I found out I was like, wait, what? And immediately called the company I was hired through and said either pay me or I'm walking. And they upped my pay and said don't talk about wages. So I told the other two PPL that were hired through the company to call and complain as well, 'cause fuck that. No foo here. You were honest and I believe you had good intent with the discussion. That trainer needs to get his priorities straight. In my experience, any company or boss that bans or discourages discussions about pay are just trying to foster an environment where they can exploit workers. Convince me otherwise. Full disclosure. These days my salary is quite literally public domain. So I don't really have a horse in this race. This exact same thing happened to me. Training a new guy after 6+ years with company. Asked about wages and found out he was making about 10% more than I was. Brought it to my boss, the VP for my respective team, who didn't have anything good to say. Next step. I spoke to another VP on a different team. Switched teams, and a few months later I got a raise of about 25% to my yearly salary. Moral of the story. Talk to your colleagues about salary. Don't let your company dictate that you can't. If people aren't being paid fairly, it's the company's fault and they should be held accountable. Some companies have even started rolling out pay bands for different roles and seniorities, so it's not too difficult to compare what you do versus what you should be paid. It shouldn't be frowned upon to speak about salaries with colleagues or other friends in a similar industry. Surely this is the wrong sub. You did a good thing. I'm underpaid about 30% thanks to the COVID job market. Started discussing salary with my seniors and it turns out they're also underpaid now. In January, when we all have our biannual reviews, we're all asking for fair salary adjustments. Wage discussions can go well. I had a friend at work once ran across something on the internet urging people to tell their coworkers how much they made. So he told me. It turns out that we made exactly the same, although I'd been there longer, but that was okay. His position was a lot more specialized and involved a lot of OT, and mine didn't, and we were both salaried. This is exactly what we all need to do if we want to start seeing everyone getting fair living wages. I have a one opinion on this. If you are okay with discussing wages, either asking or sharing, then you cannot get mad when someone tells you their wages. There are a lot of factors that go into someone's pay, so it is not always black and white. But if you ask someone and they are willing to share, then you cannot get mad at them. That's like asking someone's honest opinion on how something looks, hair, clothes, etc., and then getting mad. You asked for the feedback. So don't get mad when someone gives you exactly what you asked for. I've discussed wage with my closest coworker. He makes $2 and some change more than me. He says I can't make more than him, which I agree because he has a CDL commercial driving license. I was actually happy for him. Word got out that I'd be getting a pay increase. Because the supervisors are worse than anything when it comes to gossip. And I'll be making $4 more than him, and he got very quiet. He didn't like it one bit. Last couple of times our team leader left for vacation, and without any sort of indication I was left in charge of the crew. He realized how much more I know about what we do, and he eventually came around because when it comes to what we do, he only knows the basics. I've been doing it longer than he has, despite me being 25 years younger than him. We became very close, and he says, "Will you know more about this stuff than I do, so tell me what to do." Best part about our crew is that we all know what we have to do, so there's really no need to tell him. This is why I don't discuss wages. It should be illegal. Internalized capitalism makes me sad. No. That is exactly why you should be talking about it. And why it should not be illegal to talk about it.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.